Hi, I'm Bernie Hayes. Today's guest is a very special guest and a very special program featuring Marsha Washington George, president of the Atlanta chapter of the National Black Radio Hall of Fame. She'll be talking about some special events coming in St. Louis today on The Bernie Hayes Show. Well, hello, Marsha Washington George. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm really, really good. You're in Atlanta, right?
Yes, I am.
And tell us your position with the National Black Radio Hall of Fame.
Well, I have two positions. One is the National Black Radio Hall of Fame second vice president and the president of the Atlanta chapter.
And the Atlanta chapter is doing some mighty big things. You got a radio station starting and a lot of things. Tell us about the National Black Radio Hall of Fame Atlanta chapter.
The Atlanta chapter decided that we would put a museum for the National Black Radio Hall of Fame here as well, even though the national chapter in St. Louis has the headquarters museum. The reason why is because the first Black-owned radio station in the United States was opened here in 1949 in Atlanta, where my uncle was the program director, by the way. And we decided that we would have a regional museum for the National Black Radio Hall of Fame through the Atlanta chapter. We not only are going to have the museum opening next year, once the Masonic Lodge has finished the renovations in the original location, also where Martin Luther King's office was held on the first floor, and we'll be on the second floor of the original WERD location. We will also have WERD radio station back on the air terrestrially. Right now we have it on the air via the internet.
Wow, WERD. Jockey Jack Gibson used to say when Dr. King's office was just below them at the WERD, that they would, when they needed to speak to Dr. King, they would string the microphone out the window down to his office, and he'd make his speeches, and they hauled the microphone back up the WERD on the second floor. So a lot of history goes with that radio station, does it not?
A lot of history goes with it, but that little story is just a little story. The office for Dr. Martin Luther King was downstairs on the first floor, all the way up to the front.
Yeah.
The radio station on the second floor was all the way to the back. And the ceiling was very tall, and they said that he would tap on the ceiling and they would put the mic down.
Right.
Well, if they put the mic down, then they would have been on Hilliard Street side. And he would have had to have gone around the corner to have done that, not on Auburn Avenue side, which is the major road. So I heard different viewpoints on that. And mostly everybody's sticking with that story. But I asked Andy Young, and he looked at me funny before he answered, like, where did you hear that from? And he said, no, the story isn't true.
Okay.
And his quote, I quote, Martin wasn't that kind of person. He had no problems with going up the stairs to the station.
Wow. So Jockey Jack in the Smithsonian interview just kind of fabricated that part of W.
Yeah, so maybe they did do it one time on Hilliard Street or two times, but according to Andy Young, that's not true.
Okay. Now, what's happening here in St. Louis on October the 2nd and October the 3rd? Tell us about the National Black Radio Hall of Fame, the event.
The event for the National Black Radio Hall of Fame is the fourth event. We have had 3 induction programs that were held in Atlanta. And the first year was person-to-person dinner. And then we had the pandemic to occur. So therefore, we decided that we would have it on Zoom. So on our website, you can see the official 2021 and 2020 we included as well, awardees. And That was a very nice program. Everybody enjoyed it. We decided we wouldn't let the pandemic hold us up. And so we wanted to have our fourth induction program in person, and our local board met, and we decided that the best thing to do for Bernie Hayes was to bring the induction program to its headquarters, which is in St. Louis. And we got together and worked on the nominations for the national and received a whole lot of submissions. Unfortunately, we weren't able to induct every name that was included this year after we received the votes back, but they'll have a chance to come in again next year. So on October the 2nd, those who will be inducted will get a chance to meet some of the other people who are being inducted at the National Blues Museum through a meet and greet. At the meet and greet, we will have a program where we award individuals who have done community service, a President Volunteer Service Award. Those individuals have done community service unselfishly and without pay, just because they know there's a need in the community to be one of those community ambassadors. So we will be acknowledging several people, including St. Louis's own Sweetie Pie. And we will award them at the meet and greet. After we award them at the meet and greet, we will have a small book signing. Several of our members are authors, including our very own Mr. Bernie Hayes.
And you yourself.
Well, yes, I am too. And I thought it would be a great time to let other members and those who are coming to our event for their induction to also see how we've inducted ourselves into the writing media, so to speak. Afterwards, we will have a vocalist to perform, and that will be it for that Sunday after we go through the museum, the Blues Museum, and take a look at what it all entails.
Yeah.
So that's October the 2nd. On October the 3rd, we will have our induction program at Harris-Stowe State University. And those who are staying at the hotel, the Embassy Suites, and locations nearby, Mr. Hayes has gotten someone to provide transportation to the campus. On October the 3rd at 6 o'clock in the Big Picture Theater, I think that's what it's called, right?
The Emerson.
Okay, Emerson Theater. We will have our annual induction program, and we will have the members to come up who are there that have received awards before, and other board members of the organization to present the awards to the inductees. For the posthumous section, we will have like a candlelight service, but it will be pin light. And as we induct each posthumous name, we will light a pin. So in dedication to them. So that's what we have planned. We may add in one or two more things, but we're looking forward to making sure that they enjoy our fourth induction program. We'll have a little food, and everybody's excited, and I'm getting excited too. A little tired because it involves a lot of work.
How can one reach you, Marsha Washington George?
Be reached at 678-851-1399 or via email at radioprofiles with the S on the end @gmail.com.
Okay.
The events on October the 2nd and 3rd are private, and the members who come and inductees and their families that come, they can bring in their guests.
And it's absolutely free. That's
absolutely free.
Well, we're talking to Marsha Washington George. She's the second vice president of the National Black Radio Hall of Fame and president of the Atlanta, Georgia chapter. And we're talking about an event that's coming to St. Louis on October 2nd and October the 3rd. I'm Bernie Hayes for broadcasting from the New Life Evangelistic Center, 2428 Woodson Road in Oakland, Missouri. And we'll be right back with Marsha and Washington George after this.
This is an opportunity that God has given all of us at this time to work together to reopen 1411 Locust, which is so urgently needed at this community. I thank God for Bernie Hayes and for his support and standing with us all these particular years. Now it's so critical that you and I do our part also, as Bernie's been partnering with us here at NLEC TV. We've continued to maintain faith, continue to move forward, and now the doors have been opened. The City of St. Louis has approved our architectural plans. We've been given the go-ahead to make the necessary renovations that are needed. We need some miracles, and that's why I'm asking all of you prayer warriors out there, all of you that are going to use that mustard seed of faith to remove the mountains. There's some mountains. Rich and powerful people who move back in the neighborhood, and they don't want 1411 Locust to open. They'd rather leave the people out on the street to slowly die, starved, used, misused, worked over by drug dealers, alcohol, and everything else. We want this place to be a place of hope for those that have lost all hope. And we want to open the doors, and we can do it. As you prayer warriors, go to God in earnest prayer, knocking on the doors of heaven. When he says, ask, it shall be given you, seek, and you shall find, knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Please continue to pray. Pray that God will just let the financial resources come in so we can make all of these repairs. He'll raise up the dedicated laborers for the harvest, that we will continue to see him do exceedingly abundantly beyond what we can even ask or think. Yes, this is a spiritual battle. The principality and powers are fighting from every direction, but greater is he who's in us than he that's in the world. And that's why I'm asking all of you to join us in prayer. Believe God with us. Contact us at New Life Evangelistic Center if you believe that there's people God laid on your heart that we should see. Ask for myself, Larry Rice, or my grandson, Chris Aaron Rice, that we can go visit and share the dream with you, and call us at 314-421-3020. Please pray. Get involved now. We need the body of Christ to arise as we work together to reopen this building for the glory of God.
Welcome back. I'm Bernie Hayes. My guest is from Atlanta, Georgia, Marsha Washington George, the second vice president of the National Black Radio Hall of Fame. Marsha, what's the importance of having a National Black Radio Hall of Fame, or just a Radio Hall of Fame for Black people?
The importance is everyone getting to know our own history. Other nationalities share their history, and it is enjoyed and it is relished, and we have to do the same thing for ourselves. We have to make sure that we know where we came from. And in broadcasting, there wasn't much out there to tell where we came from and what we're doing and what wonderful things can take place in this type of industry. And that's why it's important that we relish all of the information we can about Black radio, because there is a difference. And when we give the differences to children, when we educate them, and we give the differences to young adults and even the older ones who enjoy history, then it puts value in what you're doing, and we need to add that value.
Tell us about your uncle. He was a pioneer in Black radio. Tell us about him.
My uncle Ken Knight was one of the first Black radio disc jockeys in the United States, and Jack the Rapper coined them as the original 13 because they met in New York City at Tommy Small's home, and they started an organization called NARA. NARA was the National Association of Radio Announcers. The National Association of Radio Announcers was needed because they needed to have a means of communications in order to go to different events throughout the country, where to stay, because we weren't allowed in regular hotels, and where to eat. We weren't allowed in the restaurants in the 40s and some of the 50s and even the 60s. So they started the National Association of Radio Announcers to make their broadcasting entity important and to have themselves safe. And when you see the movie The Green Book, that's what it's about. It's about individuals knowing where to live and where to eat when they had to go out of their home area to take care of business. The television industry members that were African Americans at the time, they asked, could they join the organization, because they had the same problems when they traveled to get stories. And they changed the name once they agreed to work with them to the National Association of Television and Radio Announcers. And that worked very well when they had the conventions. Even people that were non-African Americans came to the convention to work out some things with what they wanted to do with Black people in radio and television. Matter of fact, I have a picture of my uncle who's at one of the conventions, and he's standing up there with the well-known actor of the time period, Gregory Peck. And that's just something awesome that developed. And they did a lot of things and did a few scholarships, and they networked and hired people by word of mouth through the organization. So he was very active with that. Matter of fact, he was the treasurer for a period of time. He also was the first African-American in the Southeast to have a syndicated television show on CBS. There was one other person that had a television show, but it was not syndicated. And then a few other people came after him. And also he had a radio station, and in 1962, he had a street named after him, Knight Drive in Jacksonville, Florida.
Wow.
And he found out that, well, he saw that there was a need for having broadcasting for the original Orange Bowl Classic. And he started the broadcast industry. He started the broadcast entity for the Orange Bowl Classic. So the Orange Bowl Classic that's held each year, the broadcasting started because of Ken Knight. And yeah, he did a lot of things. He worked with children and so forth. Natural
is a very important organization, and still is actually, although it's not so active at this point in time. The organization, National Black Radio Hall of Fame, has a website too. Tell us about that.
The website is www.nbrhof.com. And it tells you about the history, the chapters, and the members. Anything you want to know about the National Black Radio Hall of Fame, you can find out on there, including the list of our inductees for this year. Yeah. And we have a video on there via YouTube posting, and it is the 2020 and 2021 induction program. So you can see people like Joe Madison, and local people from Atlanta who were inducted during that time period. Okay. National NBRHOF.com is the website. Now the event we were talking about for October 2nd, October the 3rd. Once again, give us your phone number and how we can reach you. 678-851-1399. And if they need to reach me, it's 314-340-5773. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a wonderful event, Marsha. Now tell us about your book, Winner Take All, Black Radio, Winner Takes All. My book, Black Radio, Winner Takes All, America's First Black DJs. I came up with the title on a flight going to Chicago to interview Richard Stamps and meet Herb Kent. And I was like, oh, well, when he interviews me, he's going to ask me what's the title. And I thought about everything that I had gotten from previous interviews from other disc jockeys and pioneer disc jockeys. And I came up with, well, they had the community behind them. The community loved them and supported them greatly. So I said, okay, it's about Black radio. They won the community. And I came up with Black Radio, Winner Takes All. It's amazing too, because so many people, you did some mighty long research, mighty in-depth research for that book. And I suggest everybody take it. In fact, that there's going to be, we're here in St. Louis are moving to a new facility on Harris-Stowe State University's campus. And your book is one of those books that are being researched for the museums called the National Black Radio Hall of Fame and the Wolf Jazz Institute facility there. It's going to be on Market Street and Compton. So there's going to be lots and lots of fun. There's going to be lots of history in there. And they're going to be contacting you very, very soon, Marsha, about some artifact
for you to donate from Atlanta to the St. Louis chapter for the National Black Radio Hall of Fame. There's so much I want to talk to you about, and so many things that you've done. But now we have chapters all over the country. Tell us some of the chapters, some of the cities we have chapters in.
Actively, we have Atlanta and of course, St. Louis. And we have the Florida chapter. The Florida chapter started out as one city, and then the president, Don Cody, said, "Can I just have the state of Florida and do it that way?" I said, "Sure." So now we have the entire state of Florida with their chapter. In North Carolina, we have two chapters. One is in Charlotte and one is in Greensboro. And also we have
Down in Land in Chicago.
My sorority sister, Donna Lynn in Chicago.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, there are three of us that are Deltas that are president of chapters with the National Black Radio Hall of Fame: Atlanta, Charlotte, and Chicago.
Wonderful. We got to take a short break here. Marsha Washington George is my guest. We're talking about the National Black Radio Hall of Fame. Two events coming up, October the 2nd, October the 3rd here in St. Louis, Missouri. But she's in Atlanta, Georgia, and we'll be right back with Marsha Washington George after this.
The Bernie Hayes program is produced at NLEC TV right here at 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. It's our new headquarters since they closed the 1411 Locust building. We're working to get back into that building. In addition to that, trying to help so many people through a wide variety of safe houses, training programs, transportation assistance, so many ways people are getting help because of all of you that are supporting the work of New Life Evangelistic Center. Now, if you'll send a gift of $25 or more, we want to send you this special, the Bernie Hayes Show cup. And we're giving that to people as just a way of saying thank you. So when you send your gift, request a cup. We'll be happy to get it off to you. It's New Life Evangelistic Center, P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri. That's 63166. You can give online at nlecstl.org. Now I'm really asking all of you to join us in praying. The needs are so phenomenal at this particular time. So many hurting and homeless people are contacting us daily, but we're able to help them because of each one of you that are praying, caring, and sharing at this time. Tell your families and friends about NLEC TV and get directly involved yourself.
Today's subject, lawyer and judge William H. Hasty. Born in Knoxville, Tennessee in 1904, attended Amherst College in Massachusetts, where he graduated at the top of his class. He decided to enroll in law school. He passed the bar exam and became a practicing lawyer and a teacher at Howard University. In 1933, he returned to Harvard to obtain his doctorate in judicial studies. It was at this point that the new administration of President Roosevelt took notice of the young man, who now called Washington, D.C. his home. He was the first African-American appointed by the administration serving as a lawyer with the Department of Interior. Roosevelt appointed Hasty to the federal court in the Virgin Islands, effectively making him the first African-American judge in history. In 1949, President Harry Truman nominated him for the Federal Court of Appeals. After retirement, Hasty became an activist for black causes and a lawyer for public interest groups until his death in 1976. William H. Hasty.
Hear this, you who trample the needy and do away with the poor of the land. Let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream. You trample on the poor and force him to give you grain. Therefore, though you have built stone mansions, you will not live in them. Though you have planted lush vineyards, you will not drink their wine. For I know how many are your offenses and how great your sins. You oppress the righteous and take bribes, and you deprive the poor of justice in the courts.
There are so many women and children experiencing homelessness in the United States and throughout the world. You can be a part of the difference today by partnering alongside New Life Evangelistic Center and the work that they're doing to save women and children's lives who are experiencing homelessness. In St. Louis, we have safe houses where women are able to find the rest that they need and the job training and transitioning from going from homelessness to housed. You can make a difference by partnering with us financially today.
Welcome back. I'm Bernie Hayes, and I'm talking to Marsha Washington George out of Atlanta, Georgia, now for the National Black Radio Hall of Fame. She's president of the Atlanta chapter. Marsha, anything we didn't talk about that we should be talking about?
Yes, there are a few things I would like to mention, and one is donating to the organization. Why should you donate? Because our programs are not free for us to establish. And we have to pay for facilities, we have to pay for product, we have to pay for our bank account to stay open. And in order to do some of those things, we have to ask for funds. We are a 501c3 in all of our chapters individually, and the national is a 501c3. So we ask that you donate anything that you can to the National Black Radio Hall of Fame, because one of the programs we have that we provide for free to the community is the President Volunteer Service Awards. We have to buy the product for that. The important one, more important one, is what we do for the children. We get students from local high schools who are in debate clubs, and we have them to once a year participate in the Drop the Mic program. And the kids love it, they enjoy it. We have a big crowd to come out and listen to them, and they're all given awards. We have a main award for the winner, but they're all given something. So that is something that we need to have in our communities to uplift our children. Also, we're getting ready to start teaching those who are retired veterans that need an outlet on how to podcast and things of that nature. So we're doing a lot of uplifting things for the community, but it does cost to do those things. So help us out with that.
I'd like to thank the Mike McMillan of the National Urban League, St. Louis chapter of the National Urban League, Metropolitan Urban League of St. Louis, and also Andy Seasoning. They contributed to us and helped us very much. And Harris-Stowe State University, I mean, that's where we're actually located, and that they're a very, very important part of what we do. So once again, how can we reach you by telephone or by email?
678-851-1399, email radioprofiles@gmail.com.
And the National Black Radio Hall of Fame website is?
www.nbrhof.com.
Okay, and so October the 2nd will be an induction ceremony for certain people for the service awards. And also October the 3rd will be the induction for the National Black Radio Hall of Fame. And also the Wolf Jazz Institute, where we're inducting the Jazz Institute. The Anderson family actually is going to be inducted into the Wolf Jazz Institute. So we're all working together and we're all part of the same entity. And I just want to say thank you. And Marsha, this button, I don't know if you can see it, this gold button here, tell them what that is.
Your President Volunteer Service Award button. Mr. Bernie Hayes has done so much in the community and has given himself unselfishly that we could not hold back from acknowledging the wonderful things he has done in St. Louis. And he's reached out, of course, across the country, because that's why we have a national entity now. But Bernie Hayes has done things that a lot of people should have picked up and done a long time ago. But it takes people like the pioneers to tell us what to do and how to do it, and that's what Bernie Hayes does.
Well, I wasn't counting on that. Thank you so much for all that. But I just want to say thank you so much. I just want the people know that this will be one of the awards they'll be receiving. Those who get those pioneer awards. I mean the service awards. Marsha Washington.
Additionally, the award comes from the White House, and the certificate is signed by the President of the United States.
And Biden, that's right. I want to say thank you for being with us this morning. It's been a wonderful pleasure. And I'm looking forward to October the 2nd, October the 3rd, and we'll be reaching you out by telephone, by email, and by the National Black Radio Hall of Fame. Thank you, Marsha Washington George, for being our guest today. And don't forget now, we're at the New Life Evangelistic Center, 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. Reverend Larry Rice has been here for more than 50 years, and we're trying to reopen 1411 Locust Street, and we need your help and support. I'm Bernie Hayes. Have a great day. Until next time.